Welcome, once again, to Pandora's Box. Oh, I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Onwards with the show. You are listening to Pandora's Box on Aspen Waite Radio. I am your host, as always, Calum Waite. Or is my name, in fact? Obadiah Pennywhistle. To the right of me, we have, as usual, Mr. Drusif Armstrong.
What's up? What's up?
Do you want to give yourself an alias today, Drew?
Pembroke.
We got Pembroke. Yeah. To the left of me, we have...
Yo.
Young Bullwinkle, Mr. Nathaniel Warren.
Mr. Bullwinkle.
Host of the Rap Radar every Sunday night from 8 p.m. until 10. Do you want to give yourself an alias today, man?
I'll be Alki.
To be honest, we won't remember any of these anyway. But we are honoured to welcome in the studio today Mr. Mark Studley.
Hello.
Nice to have you on, Mark.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers for coming, mate. So for anybody that doesn't know, Mark is an award-winning chef. He used to have a very successful burger place in town in Bridgewater called Cow and Bun. And you've also just released a book.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking all about that today.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd sort of like start right from the beginning, really, Mark. So how long have you actually been into cooking?
Probably about 5 years.
Oh, so not long at all?
No.
So you like got into it and opened Cow and Bun pretty much?
Yeah, so I started in my back garden.
Right.
Just knocking up stuff for my mates on like a couple of smokers and stuff. And then that kind of progressed to me selling it to my mates through my Facebook. And then I was getting 40 orders every Sunday. So I started doing that. And then that gets a bit too much to handle. You know, my missus is vegetarian, bordering vegan, so I'm doing meat and stuff, chucking it everywhere.
I bet she loves you.
Yeah, she hates my guts even now, you know. So.
She's just like house reeking of smoked meat.
Yeah, pretty much. So, and then she didn't want to help me do it, so I had to deliver it as well. So I was doing sort of 2 sittings, and it just got a bit out of hand. So I then set Cow and Bun up, and didn't have a clue what I was doing. You know, I spent a few months checking everything out all around the country, burgers and stuff. Thought I'd give it a go. First night, waiting times were like 3 hours. I don't think they improved over the 3 years that I had it, to be fair, if I'm honest. So,
but built a great reputation in a short amount of time, though.
Yeah.
Like everyone locally in Bridgewater was just like ranting and raving about how good Cow and Bun was. And like everybody was like going there all the time. You see it on Facebook everywhere. Like, we've been Cow and Bun, you know?
But it was good. I mean, we got... voted in the top 20 in the country. I was a top 16 burger chef in the country.
Wow.
We had the customer base was 2 hours, so they come from Bournemouth, Cardiff.
Seriously?
Yeah, they'd come down. You're like, do you want to sit in? And obviously, you know, we had the stalls, like 9 stalls. Oh, no, it's comfy to sit in the car. So they've just driven 2 hours to get there.
Wow.
And then you see them sat outside eating their food.
I have to say, like, I knew the place was successful. I didn't know it was that successful. I think that like some people would drive 2 hours. To have a burger.
Yeah.
But you know, fair play. As I said, they were sort of like it was notorious in a short amount of time. As I said, the amount of people that were. I can't believe that you only started cooking 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to be like, oh yeah, you know, I was 12 years old and I watched Gordon Ramsay. And what
it was is what got me going was I used to travel. I like going to Bristol, Exeter, stuff like that, and everywhere I was going, I couldn't get a good burger. I just thought they were crap, and you're paying 15 quid sometimes for rubbish, like, you know. So I thought I can do better than that, and then it kind of one side of me is arguing like, well, go on, do it. The other side like, don't do it. But then me, I'm just I'll just do it anyway. So that was the whole thing. So I could do it better than anyone else. So and I like to think, to be fair, I achieved that. So up until I sold it. So But
why did you sell it?
I just wanted a life. Basically.
Was it just all consuming?
Yeah, I mean 7 hours a day, 7 days a week, 18 hours a day, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah. So I was only open for. I think we'd open at like on the weekends 4. Yeah. And then by 6:30, 8, we'd have to stop taking orders because we sold out. You know.
Wow.
And then you still got 2 hours of cooking after that, and then.
Just overwhelming.
Yeah, it is, and you know, I couldn't get the staff.
A victim of your own success, really.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's a good way, you know, it's a good place to be in a way. Yeah. But at the same time, if it's that overbearing and overwhelming, then you sort of want your life back, don't you?
And you know, I've got a 6-year-old. Well, yeah, she's 6 now, and an 8-year-old girl. So 2 girls, and I missed them growing up.
Really?
Do you know what I mean?
So
I missed 3 years of their life technically because I'd get home. Yeah. It'd be midnight, and then they'd be up for school 7. I'm up at 7 and I'm going to take deliveries into the shop. So I'd see him for 20 minutes, half an hour a day. If that, and the same with your wife and stuff as well, so which wives are good for you if you only see her half an hour a day. That's good, but kids it's not so good, so
no, I can completely sympathise with that. I've got a little girl as well, and I know what you mean. Like when on those like days or even those weeks when you're like super busy, it's depressing, isn't it? It is depressing, you feel like like you literally see your kid in passing, maybe quickly say goodnight to him or something. You get in just in time to say goodnight to him, and that's it. That's quite a depressing feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, and you don't have any time. And when I went down to Slough 6 days a week or 5 days a week, those 2 days that I'm off, I'm still working. I'm still doing all the paperwork and catch up on that, and and I'm running around doing whatever. But I just couldn't get the staff in Bridgewater. I had one guy who I sold it to, who's obviously ruined it, but that's his problem. But up until that point, he was fine for me.
Why did you have such a problem getting staff?
They just weren't just unreliable.
Really?
Yeah, you'd get people that they just wouldn't. I think because it's different working somewhere where in a sense your customer facing, you're banging out a burger every 20 seconds. So which is probably the same as McDonald's or whatever, but we're obviously doing it all fresh, and the work is super intense. I think I did in the 3 years that I was there over 500,000 beef burgers.
Whoa!
And you think and that's all pure beef that we made by hand every day. Then I think it's probably about 160 to 200,000 chicken burgers that we prepped every day. And people don't want to do that. They didn't want to work hard. You're gonna you've got to get stuck in.
They think it's going to be like just some fast food place in Bridgewater, so like an industrial town. They think it's just going to be like knocking them out, like no one really cares.
But it's we made everything. All the sauces, everything.
I remember hearing it was all like really high quality beef and everything, wasn't it? But that's the thing is, I mean, for somebody like myself anyway, like that's what I want. I mean, I don't want. I want if I want to get a burger. I mean, I'm past going to McDonald's. I don't go to places like that nowadays. If I want to get something really good, I'd much rather go to somewhere like I don't know if you've been there, like Spitfire in Bristol or something like that. Proper like slow cooked, pork or beef, whatever. That's what you want.
I've gone off burgers now, by the way. I can't eat them at all. So,
really?
Yeah, I hate them.
You'll get a taste back.
Maybe. It's been 18 months since I gave it up, and I've probably had two burgers in that time.
Really?
One of them was funny enough in Bristol was Asado, the South American flavoured burger place. That's really good. But that even to me then I was eating it, and I know it's good, but I'm just like I don't like it.
Just sick of it.
Don't. You just the smell of them, the look of them. It's off putting.
I was a bit like that about whiskey for about 10 years. After I had a bad experience when I was 14, drank a bottle of my dad's whiskey, and I was like that for about 10 years. I like it again now, but one day you'll get the taste back for it.
Yes,
So I said I didn't hear for a while. I heard eventually that it had been sold because. It was one of those things. I did wonder why it had such a good reputation, and then I did start hearing that it had gone downhill. Obviously, not everyone's going to be aware, obviously, that you sold it. But obviously, it's still got the name. Does it sort of bother you that the name's been sort of tainted?
A little bit, but I mean, once it's left my hands, it's left my hands. That's it. I've got rid of it for a reason. I didn't want to. I suppose the first 9 months after I sold it, people were just. Who I don't even know were messaging me saying, "Please take it back. Please get it back."
They just wanted their burger fixed.
Get it back. He's ruining it. He's doing this, and I'm like, but I don't want anything to do with it. Like, why don't you approach him, take it on, or whatever? But people don't want to commit to that. They just, they want their fix. And that's it. So,
when you started like cooking 5 years ago, I imagine to get to the level that you have gotten to, I imagine you got pretty tunnel visioned with it, like with your cooking. When
I'm all or nothing.
So were you just like reading up everything, looking up?
I wouldn't say I read up on stuff. I think what got me really going to do it. So I met a bloke called Marcus Borden, and I don't know if you're aware, but there's a group online called Country Wood Smoke. It's a massive smoking meats and stuff like that. Right. So Marcus started up. He was a vegetarian until about 12 years ago, and so he decided to then stop being a veggie and get smoking meat because there's a butcher's opposite this house down near Clumpton.
That's quite like a rapid change. Did he say like why in particular he did that?
I think he literally, there was a really good butcher's over the road, and he just one day just thought, I'm going to go in there.
I'm just going to smoke all this.
So
if you're going to make the change, you may as well do it right.
So he's grown now. He's got 2 best-selling cookbooks out as well. So And he was running some barbecue class, smoking class and stuff. And I think at the time he only had probably 4,000 followers or something. And this is going back probably 6 years ago. And I met him, and he was like, he's such an inspiring bloke that you just think, hang on a minute, you follow what you want to do. And I remember speaking to him, he was saying to me that, his dream was to give up. He was a geologist, so up on the oil rigs and stuff. And he was like, my dream is to not do that anymore, and is to be, do this full time, teaching people how to smoke meats and barbecue and stuff. And I was like, do you know what? I want to open my own place. And then I met him again. And he just, I said, I'm going to do it. And then I ended up going to a little party that we throw because my mate got killed 2008. So called Bodstock. So it's a little rave in the middle of nowhere. We get some big DJs down and they play for free or real cheap for us. So
nice.
And we all sat in a caravan one night and everything was going around and we were all a little bit smashed. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna open up a burger bar, and everyone's like, So I went and did it.
You had an epiphany,
it's just a spur of the moment. And my mates now, they just keep laughing, like, you did do it, you stuck to it.
Yeah, that's hilarious, man.
You did really well as well.
All the rubbish people normally talk when they're hammered like that, and you actually went and fully changed your life. Changed your life.
It was funny because I came out with it at the time. One of my mates at the caravan that we were in, he had put the caravan for sale on eBay with the festival organiser's phone number on it, just to like wind them up. So he's getting all these calls about this caravan that we're all sat in getting drunk in and stuff. And he's like, what's going on? And I'm there, I'm going to open up a burger bar, and everyone's like, this is all just too much, like, and we were
just going on one. So like, but after that, you must have obviously, to acquire the skills that you now have, you must have watched like a lot of stuff on YouTube, I imagine, things like that.
I don't really watch YouTube. I kind of, it's weird. I don't watch much YouTube unless it's something really difficult.
Yeah.
That I don't know how to get my head around.
Like a technique or something.
Yeah. So, on my, I don't know if you see my Instagram, Dirty Food Guy on there. So I've got like these garlic butter pastry cones. So it looks like an ice cream cone. It's got like stuff with carbonara and stuff in it, so you can actually eat it like an ice cream and stuff.
Nice.
And so I didn't know how to do that, and I was racking my brain, how do you do that? So I watched the thing for that, but a lot of it is that I'll look at a picture and then I'll go onto Google and I'll Google how they make a certain recipe, and then I just think, well, I'm just going to twist it up and just.
So you get creative with it and do your kind of own thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
So if you see like in the book the beef Wellington tacos, where the puff pastry is the taco shell and stuff like that. So you just kind of turn on ahead in the cheeseburger roly-poly that you were looking at.
Oh, that looks amazing. That looks amazing.
And that's actually made out of potato.
Right.
So you kind of, how do you do that and how do you roll it? And I couldn't find anything anywhere.
That's crazy to me. Like, I just
so,
obviously assumed it was made out of some sort of
pastry.
Bread.
No, it's just literally you just grate all the potato, get all the starch out, put it in a bowl, chuck some eggs, seasoning, cheese, all that sort of stuff in it.
Yeah,
and then
a bit like when you make hash brown from scratch.
Yeah. It's like a big rosti, basically.
Because I've done that, and that is delicious. I've done that, like great potato, and squeeze all the starch out and that, and that's
so that's exactly the same thing.
Oh right,
but you just put it in a baking tray. And it's all stuff that I've just like, how do I do it? I throw stuff around the kitchen. Yeah, the wife's been to A&E a few times.
So how much? Because you've clearly got like a built-in talent for this. You obviously were born with some skill that you've obviously only discovered 5 years ago for cooking.
Yeah, it's called winging it.
Yeah. But like, so how much of it was like trial and error? So was it at first when you were making stuff? Was a lot of it like pretty rubbish, or were you surprised? Yeah. Oh, it was.
Yeah. You can see a lot. How stuff's come on. Like, so when I first started doing the burgers, I don't know if you remember Grillstock, the smokehouse up in Bristol.
Yeah.
Got that shop now. Yeah, but so. They had a Hobbs House bakery bun, and I had the Grillstock book. So I looked in the book, and I was like, "Oh, I can make the buns for this." Nothing like it at all. Really? Just tasted like cardboard.
Oh, no.
And I've still got the picture, and it just looks shocking. Like you wouldn't eat it at all. You just bin it off. But, But so I just thought, actually, no, And it's, just stuff like that. Just play around with it, and then some stuff I can nail first time. Yeah. Other stuff it takes me a lot. Like at the moment, I'm doing something that's like a Walker's crisp. But imagine that. But it's when you break into it or bite into it, it's got melted cheese and cheeseburger in it.
Oh yes, please.
So I think that'll be a world's first once I've done it. But I'm nearly there. But yeah, I've smashed a lot of stuff, and
I agree. I think one of the things that impresses me though is, as I said, like I like cooking. Yeah. But I'd say there's probably only about 5 things that I can cook really well. Yeah. Whereas obviously you got so many different recipes now. Yeah. And you said like for the trial and error to make everyone be as like that good.
Yeah,
That's an insane amount of time.
It's just not being scared to do it. I think just doing it,
just going for it.
Make it to your. I just even when I can balance everything, I did it to my taste. No one else's.
I suppose it's like that thing as well. It's that old saying, and it's like if you put 1,000 hours in something,
you get
but
what you put in.
But you've got to be willing to put that 1,000 hours in if you've got a big enough passion.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, one of the main reasons we're here today to talk to you is obviously about your book.
Yeah.
So check it out, everyone. So where is that out on? I know it's out on Amazon.
So it's on Waterstones, Smiths, publishers, which is Meze Publishing, Amazon. Everywhere basically. So it is available now, folks. So if you like your dirty food, if you like your junk food, then go get yourself a copy, and you'll be a very happy man or lady. So did you start writing that once you'd sold Cow and Bun? No. So the whole book thing's a bit surreal, really, because I sold Cow and Bun. I thought, that's it. I'm having a year off. I've got no idea. I just want a break. I don't want to see anyone. I became really unsociable. But I guess the point was when I sold Cow and Bun was August 2020. So I went straight into lockdown anyway. So then convenient. Yeah. So then I sold it to have time with the kids, and then I've got too much time with them. I'm homeschooling them for months at a time as well. And I'm like, oh no. So that's aging me. And then so the publishers would have been. They got in touch about March last year. Right. So, and they said, you've been recommended to us. If you wanted to do a cookbook, what would it be? What would it be about? And I'm like, who's recommended me? Well, don't worry about that. We've heard that you might be worth speaking to about it. So I've just kind of gone, all right, well, can I get back to you? Like, no, we want to know now. So I'm like, ooh, straight off. Yeah, all right, well, what publishers are you then? So they tell me, do like Marco Pierre White, Masterchef winners, all these sorts of people. So they're in the know, and so I've turned around and gone, all right, so my book, if I was going to do it, would be all the Instagrammable food that you see, all the dirty, messy food that you think, bloody love that, but it looks mad to make. I'm just saying you can make it, but you can go to the supermarket and buy every single ingredient. And then but also use my book as a guide, basically, rather than following it step for step. So you can go, if you're not good at making sauces, use a jar sauce. I don't care. It's up to you. Make it to your taste and to your skill set, your experience, your budget, and just do it that way, which I think is why it's, everyone's kind of raving about it, because it's, it's completely different and it's not set in stone for it. It's, it's completely unlike anything else out there.
Did you have a lot of the recipes already made before you released the book?
No.
Or literally just had to go from scratch?
Yeah. So they said to me, right, this is it. You've got till, I think it's August 31st to get it all done, or we had to get it all done. So I think I had to get all the recipes to them by the end of June or mid-July, something like that. And so I basically had from March to, so I had 3 months to write.
Yeah, that's not long, is it?
Yeah. So I kind of thought, all right, well, what can I do? So, I was home. So I was probably doing 3 or 4 a day, just coming up with it, just trialing it, getting my mates round. What does this taste like? And so you just trying all these recipes at home in your kitchen, wait, seeing how they tasted, perfecting them, and then sort of dialing it. Yeah. So, but the hard part about writing a cookbook is when you make the stuff, it's easy, but writing it down, measuring it all down, that's the really anal bit. And I was like, well, this is the hardest bit for me, because I can tell you how to do it, but I don't know how much of what I'm using, so I've had to go back through everything.
It seems like you do it by feel, from how you're saying. It's just like chug a load of things together.
Just look, taste. It's all about taste, isn't it? So you just a bit of that, then it's like, oh shit, how much did I put in? So sure, go back and do it all again. So in total, did you say 3 months? 3 months, yeah. I'll tell you what, though, it's a sign of your success. I can't even imagine what it's like, though, to just get a random call from a publisher and be like, we want you to make this book. We've done the ones for like Marco Pierre White and that. Was it like almost like strange?
What you gonna do?
Do you know what I mean? Because
then it's almost like putting you in the same light as somebody like Marco Pierre White. In a way, it's weird because most cookbooks, they're all self-funded. So a lot of the people will pay for it all, and they're not cheap to do. I think this one, if it was self-funded, it's like 20 grand near enough. Yeah. To do so, so they had enough faith in you that obviously they were paying for that. They thought they could make money off your name. So what they did was that they said, right, okay, I gave him my idea, and he didn't really say anything, and then he's like, okay, I'll call you back. Next day,
I thought, he's this joker or whatever. Next day they've come back saying, yeah, we're going to sign you up. We think this is brilliant. It's got massive legs. There's nothing like it out there. We've done all the research, blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
Contracts coming over, sign it, and off we go. So you're like, all right, there we go then. So yeah, the rest is history really. So.
Awesome. So you're an award-winning chef.
Yes.
As well. So how did that come about? And
just winging it.
Was that from Cow and Ban?
Yeah, it came from that. Yeah. So now I do private chefing. So I get to go to very nice houses with celebrities, high net worth individuals, sports stars, people like that, and cook them
really
dirty food because they don't want fine dining anymore. So
wow. So what's actually like the name, like the award you won?
Me?
Yeah.
So I've won Newcomer of the Year.
Right.
Yeah, so at the Chef Awards and stuff like that. So yeah, it's all.
I'm still just amazed that you only started 5 years ago.
Yeah,
I think that's the thing that's crazy to me. And now you're doing private events for celebrities and stuff.
Yeah.
So have you been with like some big names?
Yeah.
Really, like all over the UK and stuff.
Yeah, well, I try and do an hour and a half from Bridgewater, really.
Yeah.
So,
right.
But yeah, we've done people. I suppose the ones that I can say, like people like Tori Amos, stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So
just chilling out with Tori Amos, making her a burger.
Yeah. Made in Chelsea.
All right.
Made in Chelsea was my very first private thing, and that was pretty surreal because you kind of think, well, hang on, I don't know who they are, which is the funny thing.
I don't either really. Yeah.
And I don't watch it, and I'm like, well, Made in Chelsea, and everyone's like, whoa,
Yeah, because the general public are like,
they're hyped on them, aren't they?
Mark's a superstar.
Yeah. And I kind of go down there, and they got this big manor house that they've rented out, and there's no cameras, and you kind of go with the impression, they're going to be stuck up idiots, they're going to be this, they're going to be that, and you get there, and they're absolutely sound.
Yeah.
Everybody I've met, apart from a lady from the In-Betweeners, Will's mum.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Naming and shaming.
They've all been spot on.
Apart from Will's mum. No, that's cool about Tori Amos though. I say my mum used to play that all the time growing up to me. And I think she's just gone and saw actually in Bath or something a week or two ago.
She lives in Cornwall, so.
Oh, does she?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I can imagine she'd be a pretty down to earth lady.
Yeah,
that seems pretty cool to me. Like you just be chilling out with her. So you're making the same sort of food that you made in Cow and Bunny?
Yeah, well, no, not really. So I do
all
stuff in the book. So things like the dirty pies. So we do like a rare breed. In the book, it's bangers and mash pie. But for clients, I use rare breed sausages and the mash. So the pie's actually got the mash in the pie and the sausages in the gravy. So you cut it all in, and so they have stuff like that. They have burgers, dirty fries, the grilled cheeses, anything really. Just So and they just sit and I speak to them first. And I'm like, you do realise I'm not fired up. Yep, we know that. We've seen your pictures. That's what we want. We don't want fine. And people don't want it all the time. They've got all this money, but they're just normal people.
You just want good tasting food that's going to fill you up, and taste amazing.
Made in Chelsea, they wanted the bangers and mash pie, but they were like, no, just do us bangers and mash. All right, well, you're paying me to do this. This is a bit weird. And while I'm making it, they're racing up and down the hallway on suitcases, smashed out of their faces, having jousting competitions, It's just really weird,
Obviously,
go on.
You were saying that you don't eat a lot of burgers, but do you eat a lot of dirty food still?
Not really.
No.
Well.
Gone a vegetarian now.
Complete opposite.
But it's weird. My food is weird because I think where I came by, my eating habit completely changed because I didn't eat properly. You're kind of picking in the day before you go, and then you kind of get home late, and then you kind of have something. But then you're eating at 1 a.m. because you're wide awake still. So, but yeah, I think now. I'm eating a lot more sandwiches at the moment, I think, which is a bit weird.
Just convenient food.
Yeah.
Easy to eat.
But I suppose when I'm making a sandwich, it's not a sandwich. It's I've got to
make it over the top.
Yeah.
It's like a work of art.
There's some pretty mad stuff going on with sandwiches. So
a manwich, I like to call it. A manwich. So you don't want a sandwich, you want a manwich.
Which is what I wouldn't mind doing. I wouldn't mind opening a sandwich bar, doing some pretty mad stuff.
That'll be the next book.
Well, or the next shop. Yeah.
So is that something you're seriously considering then?
Yeah. I did have an offer on a place in town.
Really?
God, it wouldn't have been last year. It would have been just after I sold Calum because I was still I need to do something because I get bored easy. And I was going to do it. Contracts were ready, but then another lockdown came in, and I was kind of like, it's probably the wrong time.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's gone. That was actually piggies I was going to buy. So.
Oh really?
But I've got all this idea to do, full on. Just massive stack sandwiches, proper.
So are these are these recipes that you haven't shared with the world yet?
Yeah.
Do you mind talking about any of them? Some of them on air?
Just
or?
like Reuben sandwiches and stuff, with like.
Right. What's that?
So like Cat's Deli in America.
Right.
You've seen that with the. So you've got like sort of massive pastrami and meats like that, and then sauerkraut and all that sort of stuff in it. Just massive. Beefy sandwiches, meaty sandwiches.
I tell you what,
rather than just your normal one with a thin slice of like.
That's not a proper
I was going to say that's what really bothers me. That's why I make myself a lot of sandwiches, but I never buy a sandwich from a shop.
Yeah.
Even like a nice cafe or something because it really bugs me.
Yeah.
Like you're like. Even some places they'll get you some real nice bread and like the bread's like this thick, like it's like an inch thick.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a tiny slither of ham and some pickle or something. And then it's like it's so chewy and it almost like makes you angry when you're eating it. Do you know what I mean? You're like, oh, I don't want to eat this. Like I can't believe I paid my money for this.
Yeah. And so that's the kind of thing I want to do. There's a place in Bristol called Sandwich.
Yeah.
And they do some really cool stuff, and I love all that sort of thing. And because it's dirty, it's carrying on the dirty theme that I like.
Yeah.
But just doing it in a day, and if I did something like that, the hours for me are a lot easier as well. But with all this stuff at the moment, I've got food demos coming up all over the place as well. So I just can't.
It's crazy how much you've blown up. Does it seem surreal to you?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't like the fame or anything. I kind of like, even this now I'm really uncomfortable.
Really?
Yeah. I just kind of like hiding in the shadows, do my thing, just hope that it carries on and, does its thing. So.
I think that's almost like everybody likes a success story.
Yeah.
Do you know, without sounding cheesy?
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like, obviously you're just like a normal bloke. That, as you said, 5 years ago, you weren't even into what you're doing now.
No.
And then within 5 years, you've blown up.
Yeah.
And you were saying to us before, you're going to be on BBC Radio soon. What was you saying? You were going to be in like, was it the
Daily Mail?
Daily Mail.
Delish.
Yeah.
So it's a big social media thing. Great British Foods.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Hanging out with Tori Amos, cooking her roly-poly cheeseburger.
Got to hang out with James Martin, John Turode, the hairy bikers, people like that as well. Got to hang out with over the next couple of months.
Fair play to you, man. Fair play to you. So, what do you think the future holds for you, in the long run?
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll carry on winging it, and it'll either work or I'll be on the bins at Christmas.
So, so you got this idea for the sandwich place, and then may or may not do that.
Yeah, I've just looked at a pub today, funnily enough, to take on potentially. If I can sort it, then I think I'm definitely going to do it. But if I can, then that will be a destination. I think So, but then I'll be sharing the load as well. So, which would be good. But I think if it's all ifs, buts, and maybes. But we don't know, do we? So it's just if I want this to keep selling. I mean, Amazon sold out on pre-sales. So,
really?
Oh, nice.
And then they had to get a load more in, and it's been the same pretty much everywhere. So we're
that's
kind
crazy.
Nice. Blowing up.
Yeah.
I got a quick one. So with your burgers, what made them different? Like, what's the secret to a really good burger?
I just use chuck and brisket, 50-50 blend. So
chuck and brisket.
Yeah. So two cuts of the cow.
Chuck's like quite is like a common thing to use for burgers.
Yeah. People will have like just a chuck burger or stuff like that. But you want good quality meat. Definitely from a butcher. If they can do chuck and brisket, you pay a little bit more for it. 15% fat.
Right. What's the secret behind that? What's the secret behind the 15%?
Well, the fat's what gives it the flavour.
Yeah.
So when your burger's just greasy and stuff like that it's your fat out of it basically. So
it's like a lot of burgers that you buy in the supermarket, they would have more than 15% fat, surely. No,
probably not.
Really?
And the thing is, don't put any filler in it. Supermarket stuff will have a filler in. So and when you buy it from a butcher's, a burger from a butcher's, they'll have a filler in. So. It's like when you bite into a burger and it's like a sausage meat texture.
Right.
You know it's got crap in it.
Yeah.
So don't put anything. Don't bind it with egg. If your meat's good enough, the meat will last well on its own. So.
I remember I went through a stage. This might be a complete faux pas. I don't know. So it'd be interesting how you react to this. But I went through a stage because my missus has got a baking company. She's a baker, but she had all these different attachments for her baking machine. So I got like a mincer for it.
Yeah.
And I used to make ribeye burgers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously that's got like a fatty meat, and they would be really tasty.
Yeah.
As you said, a bit like yourself, I looked up on like Google the best way to do it. So I remember hearing like they said like don't overly like compress it.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Do you know exactly why that is?
So basically, the way to do it is we used to do smash burgers when I had the place. So what I've got in the book, it gives you 3 methods of burger. So one way you can shape it yourself. So just always like shape it with your hand, like you're making a pizza puck basically.
Yeah.
Have it kind of like this sort of thickness and just leave it like that. And then you got your smash burger where you put the ball on the heat in a pan or whatever. So that seals the bottom. And when you push down, it pushes the juices back up into it because otherwise you put it down and the juices flow out. and then I've got a method where you've got a big chunky burger, which I learnt off of MasterChef Professionals actually from Marcus Waring years and years ago, and he did a skill test or whatever it is. So he made a burger and he did it, and I'd never seen it before. He seared it either side like you would with a steak or a fillet steak, and then he banged it in the oven.
Ah, okay.
Finished it that way because the burger's like that.
Yeah.
And just finish it in the oven. And that, to me, that is my favourite way of doing a burger.
That's how you cook them yourself,
If I was doing it at home, that is exactly how I cook a burger that way. So I'd sear it, I'd make it nice and thick, sear it, and bang it in the oven.
As you said, like you do, because normally you would associate that with a steak.
Yeah.
So
just
that
treat
keeps
it
the juices in, like when you do it like that.
Yeah, and only flip your burger once.
Yeah.
If you don't flip it more than once, if you know what I mean. So you want a nice crust on one side.
Yeah.
This is if you're doing it on a hot plate or a pan or whatever. So just keep a crust on one side, flip it over, and then let it done.
Are you big on like your seasoning?
Yeah. So salt, pepper.
Yeah.
So you do a 50-50 blend, or you can mix it up with salt, pepper, garlic powder, oregano.
Do you experiment with that a lot, like different seasonings?
Yeah. But the seasoning that I like is a mixture of all sort of 5 really. So
Out of your new book, what would you say your favourite recipe is in the entire book? If you had to choose one and had to get rid of all of the rest, what would you choose?
That's a good one actually. The beef Wellington tacos. I would say, yeah.
And for what reason? Like because you just think they taste the best?
Yeah, I just think because they're, I cook a lot of them as well, and everybody absolutely goes crazy for them. So
beef Wellington
as well.
Yeah.
So,
might be the same
Sounds
answer,
good.
but it might be the same answer. If you had to eat one recipe from your book for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Yeah, that's a tough one actually.
That's a good.
I'll try not to have a look through it actually.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've looked through it.
Yeah.
Flick,
that cheeseburger roly poly would be what
I
I'd
would
be
probably eat that. The grilled, the chili dog grilled cheese.
That looks good.
That looks good.
So I'm big into grilled cheeses as well. Stuffing anything that I can in them. Just cooking them in on the frying pan, and doing it that way, and just flipping it over once as well, and just to get the nice crust on it. And
it's making me hungry, man.
Yeah, let's go for food now.
Is there anything else that you guys want to ask Mark before we wrap up?
No, not really.
Anything you want to add, Mark?
No. I'm cool,
anything else you want to say or plug or anything like that?
Just check me out on Instagram, Facebook, Dirty Food Guy. Give me a like and a follow. Yeah, and then
Mark Studley, and your book is Dirty.
Yes.
Check it out, everyone. Thanks for coming on, Mark. Really appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
I feel dissatisfied now because we were talking to Mark about all of those like delicious meats and foods and stuff, and now he's just left, and I feel like I have this real need to like. I'm a bit sad he didn't bring in some food.
Yeah, imagine that. Next time he needs to cook us one of those crazy.
Just come in and like all this stuff in
recipe.
tin foil, with this like slow cooked, amazing food. One of those cheeseburger roly polies. That's what I want. As I said, I thought it looked amazing anyway, but now he's told me that like the roly poly sort of is made out of potato. I want it more.
Yeah.
Especially because I've made my own hash brown before. As I said to him, because I saw a Gordon Brown. Not Gordon Brown. Yes, the Labour
MP.
former Prime Minister.
Yes.
No, Gordon Ramsay. I saw like a YouTube video on him, and it's like, as like Mark was explaining, you grate the potato and you strain it, so you squeeze all the starch out, and then you almost like flatten it, and then you put it in like almost like in a pan, but like a pan that you can put in the oven. And then I did that, and then at like about 5 minutes before it's ready, take it out, and then you break about 5 eggs on it, like all around. So imagine almost like a hash brown pizza, but with like eggs instead of cheese. That's my way of explaining it.
Yeah.
Put it back in just so the eggs have enough time to cook, and then oh man, that was amazing. But when he said, but I remember how delicious that was, and how much that was like making it yourself was better than say like a hash brown you'd buy in a shop. And then when he said it was like, almost like that, but then like rolled up with all this like cheesy, high quality beef. Oh, crazy!
Gotta check out his book, Dirty. Look for
Mark
it
Studley
on Amazon and all that.
Yeah, and if you're listening, Mark, thanks for coming in, man. As well, thanks again for coming in.
I actually felt really bad, like sitting here and hearing about all the foods and everything, and I wanted to tell you about the meal I had for tea last night.
Go on.
So I made burgers.
Did you? Did you not have the guts to tell Mark? You didn't want to be shamed.
No, it's like it was like the worst. I didn't eat it.
Really?
I didn't eat
it was that bad?
Literally, I just put them in the oven.
So what burger was it? Was beef burger, chicken burger?
Beef.
Right.
Beef. Just like from the freezer or whatever. Didn't even like make the mince. Just put it in the oven, right? Put put it out. We had no like burger rolls, so I had to put it in like a finger roll, like a hot dog roll or whatever. And then I just chucked on some cold grated cheese from the fridge. And I put it on and I looked at it for a couple seconds. It was all like greasy, but not in a good way, and like just like a really thin and like a rock hard slab. And I looked at it and I went, I can't bring myself to actually eat this.
It's such a difference from like what you see in that and what he was talking about. You want to mix the chuck and the rib and all this.
I wish I took a photo. It's awful.
The thing I'm thinking in my head though is obviously it's like how like it must have looked really bad because you had a finger roll, but obviously did you like cut it in half and then sort of like put it like alongside?
I didn't even like go to the bother of like cutting the roll. I just like peeled it apart with my hands.
What? And then you just sort of like put the burger in the middle?
Yeah.
With just some cold cheese.
So this is 18-year-old culinary delights.
Yeah. To be fair, man,
I made some Japanese food afterwards, and that was good.
Oh, okay.
To be fair, when I was your age, I was such a bad cook.
Yeah.
I remember going to your. This is actually I actually really enjoyed this, but I remember going to yours and we just get like some vegetable broth.
Oh yeah.
And just like just put it out and then get some whack a load of tuna in it and some cheese and just put it in the microwave. Yeah. That was banging though. I used to like that.
That was like, can you imagine like when I was like, imagine like being a teenager, right? You're like 15, 16, right? You just get into working out. You buy your first sort of books about working out, and obviously all it harps on about is, you know, after you train, you need to make sure you like get your protein. At that point in my life, I didn't know how to cook anything. You know, I'd like stick a Rustler's burger in the microwave and make some like toast. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I was like, right, okay, I need to get protein in. But I was like, I always have really liked soup, so I was like, all right, I need like vegetables and I need protein. So I'd be like, okay, like vegetable broth or like a Scotch broth. And I'd be like, what's in this? It'd be like carrots, peas. And I'm like, oh, vegetables. And then I'd be like, how much protein's in this can of tuna? Oh, 30 grams of protein. Don't have to cook it or anything. It's ready. Just literally microwave my soup. Wait until that's like steaming hot. Pour a can of tuna into it. Mix it up with some like mozzarella cheese so it's nice and stringy. And I just eat that with like a couple of slices of bread, you know, just for some, you know, those extra carbs. And then that was like my training food, and I'd literally have that like almost daily. I remember I went to Download Festival with Zeus Swallow the Gold, and I remember I took a load of cans of tuna and a load of Scotch broth on a little camping stove, and I was like hammered every day, just like all the other metalers there. But like I would just get out my camping stove like every morning, like really hanging, and like just crack open a beer straight away. But because I was really into my training, I just get my little camping stove out, heat up some Scotch broth, pour a can of tuna into it, mix it up, and I'd be like, got to get your protein in. Yeah. Anyway, it's good because it saves money. I can just
picture doing like a cooking challenge with Mark as like the judge, and I'm making this like burger and a finger roll. Awful. You're making like some vegetable tuna broth.
I would just get Rolos. I'd get a load of Rolos and just put them in the microwave, and then it was like melted chocolate Rolos.
That's like a dessert, though. That's like a dessert, though, isn't it? That's
too
not
easy.
Like, that's not like a. I always think a meal has to be like a main course, which traditionally is savoury, isn't it?
I remember it was a one I did with Josh when he was round. We did like sausage meat and like rolled it up into balls.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And with like
you and Josh doing your
with loads
time?
Of pesto.
Right.
And put that all over the things, and then like fried them up and put them in pasta. But it was actually real nice, man.
Right.
That sounds
pretty good. I love that over the three of our meals.
When you said about I put in with the pasta, it sounded right.
Yeah, like not just that on its own.
Like meatballs.
Yeah, like meatballs, but like sausage meatballs.
Italian meatballs sort of style. Yeah, nowadays I'm like a confident chef. As I said to Mark, I'm only really about 5 or 6 dishes, but those 5 or 6 dishes, I am confident that anybody would have it and be impressed. I would, you know what I mean?
Hashtag goose.
I know that obviously Drew's had a lot of my food. So and I remember there was a couple of times I've cooked you some burgers, and I remember you really liked them.
You've done a banging burritos as well.
Like I need to try one of your burritos.
For me, it's like so burritos, steak, burgers. What else? There's a couple more things in that I'm confident in. What did I just say?
Like roasted lamb.
Oh,
and
like
stuff.
slow roast, like any like a roast dinner. So like a slow roast lamb or slow roast pork. And then the good thing about obviously like the pork, I can do that either barbecue style or just like British roast style. So if I do it like a barbecue style, I mean, let's face it, it's not going to be any Mark Studley, but you know, I've perfected the slow roast, and I'll put like paprika and more like barbecue style seasoning on it. you know, like a bit of chili powder and stuff like that, and then let's have that with like chips and coleslaw and like mixed beans and stuff like that I've also like seasoned.
I just make like I get once again little hot dog rolls, put like some ready cooked chicken rolls, from the from the fridge, some like pile cheese on them, put it in the oven to like grill it.
Yeah.
And that's always quite good. That's like a Subway. But I almost feel like, imagine doing that to like Mark, and he'd look at you and be like, "What's wrong with you?"
I'm just so impressed that he's only been cooking for 5 years.
Yeah,
that's the thing that blew my mind. Like, talk about, as I said, like while he was here, talk about a success story. Like, he started cooking. I thought he was gonna like.
So, you know, I've been doing this since I was 12.
Yeah, that's why I said, like,
before, since I was born.
Like, before we started recording, I said to him, just out of courtessy, because you don't want to take people by surprise. I was like, is there anything you don't want to talk about, like your childhood and that? And then, because I thought, the reason I said that to him,
it's because it would include cooking.
Yeah, I thought that he was going to be like, from like an early age, I was interested, and then when he was like, oh no, I just got into it like 5 years ago, like. Man, and then literally now he's like cooking for celebrities and cooking cheeseburger roly-polies for Tori Amos. Like, maybe
I'll be the next big chef.
Maybe.
I don't know by the sounds of it, man.
Maybe I'll start from now, and then in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
As I said though, when I was his age, I wasn't any better than he is. I mean, and now obviously, I'm
now you're an expert.
You've given me some really nice comments, man. When you said that goose that I cooked for Ursula and Josh and that, you said that was your best meal of 2021. I was like, mate, that like touched me, man. I was like, oh man, that's amazing. Like, I was so like chuffed. Yeah, I was like well chuffed about that. But yeah, we're gonna listen to some more music now. We got loads of cool stuff to talk about in the second hour, so stick around. We're gonna talk about some crazy flying things, both man-made and otherwise. We're gonna talk a little bit about Neanderthals and anthropology in general as well. So listen to this good tunes, and we'll be back shortly, guys.
Yeah, I wish I took a photo of it now so I could show you the photo. That's like the worst thing I've ever cooked.
Bullwinkle,
But then afterwards, I went through a cookbook and literally just made a sticky note of like every single meal that I like the look of.
You sticky boy.
And then I like showed my mum. Was like, next time you go shopping, can you just pick up like some ingredients from it, and I'll just cook like fresh, because I want to, when I eventually move out, I don't want to be like having the most awful food every night.
I have to tell you what, really, for me, I owe my cooking completely, as I said, to working out, because. I said it was almost like knowing that.
Needs must.
I remember when I sort of like graduated from the tuna thing, and I was like, I should probably learn that. I remember I would start cooking like beef and chicken, but at first it was awful. Like it was super dry. I wouldn't season it. I wouldn't put it in anything. I would just stick literally chicken breast out of the freaking packet on a tray and just cook them in the oven. And I remember I would just be sitting there with just like loads of ketchup, just because it's the only way I could even like chew it and swallow it. It would just be like loads of ketchup. And I'd be like, I get back from the gym and I would literally just have like just meat on a plate and a bottle of Lucozade. So no veg, no carbs, just like it would be like a beef burger and like 2 chicken breasts, and I'll just wash it down with Lucozade and just loads of ketchup.
Oh my god!
And I'd be like, in my head, I was like, training. And then I was like, no, I can't eat this. So I was like, started looking into slowly like how to make chicken taste good, how to make beef taste good. And then I remember like the first couple of steaks I cooked, I was like, I'm gonna make a steak because I love it when I have a steak at like the pub. And I was explaining it tastes like that, and it was like so tough, and it was just awful. And then it's like, I must have cooked like 1,000 steaks in my life. So now it's like, if you asked me to cook you a steak, I would be confident I'd make you like an amazing steak. But that's just because I cooked so many. You'd almost have to be like an insanely high level of freaking like idiot to have cooked as many steaks as I had and not learned how to make a good steak yet. Do you know what I mean?
It seems to be like very like this new like kind of foodie thing with like the dirty stuff. It's more like American-y. Like I look at things like that and I think that's what I can imagine. He said like, you know about the Philly sandwich and that. It's like it's like kind of coming into
Philly
our culture a bit more now, isn't it? Like
if you go to like the big cities, they'll have places that will do sort of things like a Philly cheesesteak.
I think like the smokehouse stuff as well, like that. I never really. It was barbecue. You do barbecues when you were younger, and like or like your parents would and stuff. But like the actual smokestack thing, that's like a big thing now, isn't it? Like smoked meats and stuff. Do
you remember like how successful that show like Man vs Food was though? I think things like that that became really big about 10 years ago. Yeah, maybe a bit longer. And it's almost like, you know how things like slowly creep in. So it was like shows like that were like massive 10 years ago. I remember like most people I knew would watch it, and obviously that was like that guy touring. What was his name? Like Adam something. He would tour like all the best, like like what Mark does.
Yeah.
All like the best like fast food places in America, and then he would like end up the show with a food challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, like and it's
that
like
was so good.
And nowadays, I mean, because I remember you hadn't been to Spitfire before I took you and Josh.
Yeah, that was probably one of the
Mm.
introductions for me to like that smoke
like proper
stuff,
and like stuff that's like slow cooked for like 8 hours.
Yeah, and I love that. Like for that's the thing. Now I'm like, oh yeah,
boy,
yeah boy,
yeah, man, 100%.
Do you ever find that the most like frustrating place is like the kitchen? And not in the sense of like when you're cooking, but I always find if I'm ever cooking or have been like cooking in the past, nothing infuriates me more than someone like coming in the room when I'm cooking.
Yeah, it's because you got to get in the zone.
If they start, especially if they start like moving stuff on the side, and you're like, I'm cooking.
Man, I'll get out of the kitchen. I'm the chef. Yeah,
I really think that triggers some sort of hunter-gatherer thing in you.
You reckon?
And there's like few things that suddenly trigger almost like irrational irritability in people, isn't it? And it's like one of them is like extreme hunger. One of them is like
extreme horniness.
Or jealousy over a partner, or like a potential love interest,
sexual frustration.
And then the other one is like somebody messing with you when you're trying to cook or eat. And those things are almost like you can be like the most chill person, and for some reason you're like lash out at the people around you, and then later on you're like, oh, sorry about that. But what even was that?
I feel like it's like a real universal thing though. Like everyone I speak to about it gets like real frustrated whenever they're like, in the kitchen, someone else is messing around.
Oh, my Uncle Dom gets so angry. Yeah. My Uncle Dom gets so angry. It's so funny. It's almost just like if my Uncle Dom's like in the kitchen, just don't go in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's hilarious. He'll get
really like seriously angry with you. And it's like even if you did something like say you were like, oh, I'll do like your washing up for you, like as you go while you're cooking. He'd be like, no, I'll do it. Like real serious, and you're like, okay, just like back away. Just back towards the door.
I made scrambled eggs for the first time yesterday.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
Scram.
Scrambled.
You made scrambled eggs for the first time ever.
Yeah.
What, like in a pan?
He is only 18. We've got to remember. this.
Yeah, I know.
I probably didn't make scrambled eggs until I was around that age.
The good thing about scrambled eggs is it's so quick and easy.
I don't think I really thought I liked scrambled eggs.
Really?
And then yesterday I was just like, I'll try it. And then it was quite nice.
Did you do them well overdone? Like, were they like really? Yeah, because I like them when they're a bit like
fluffy.
Juicy and fluffy still.
I think they were quite fluffy.
That's good.
The worst thing about scrambled eggs is overcooking them and then they end up like rubber.
Yeah.
They went like that. They went like that.
I like scrambled eggs as well because you can like mix other stuffs like onions and like fry it all up and everything, and then kind of like cook the scrambled eggs in whatever you've done. I do that quite a bit, and it's like with a load of garlic and stuff,
or just like a scramble rather than a scrambled eggs. Do you know what I mean? Like you'll make a scramble, so it's like it's almost like an omelette crossed with a scrambled egg.
A bit like. I added like a bit of cheese.
Yeah, man.
All
that stuff.
But rather than having it as an omelette, which is obviously just like a flat disc, you're literally just scrambling it up and cooking it as you go. Yeah, man, because you can do all sorts. You could like chuck in some chicken that you've pre-cooked and like just for the last minute. Yeah, peas, onions, tomatoes, whatever you want, really. Mushrooms. I
love a roast chicken as well. You do like a roast chicken like one night. And then kind of shred it all off the bone. Keep that like whatever you don't eat, and then do like real nice like fajitas and that the next night. But cook that chicken that you've already like all like pulled chicken like in some real nice fajita mix and that, and then they're just like the most bang when they've been like over. I don't know, for some reason just the next day it's like, oh, this is just so nice.
I love bubble and squeak as well. And you have a roast, and then the next day just like fry up the leftovers and then chuck some eggs on it. There's something amazing. I remember you had an ex-girlfriend called Carmen, didn't you? And I remember we made a bubble squeak the first time at my house. Do you remember? Yeah. And she was like loving it. And
Bubbling squeaky.
And I remember I was like
squeaky.
Carmen was like so funny. I used to love having interactions with her. And I remember because obviously you hear sometimes that like foreigners almost like have a bad opinion of British food. So I remember it was like really interesting. We were eating it, and I remember she looked really into it. But I was like, thought it'd be interesting for me to ask somebody that's Spanish like what her views on. I remember being like, what do you think of that then, Carmen? Do you like that? And then I remember she was like, well, yes, of course. She was like, what's not to like? And I was like, boom, yeah. I was like, well, chef. It was like, because we had like, you stayed over, didn't you? So we had a slow roast lamb the night before. And I remember we went up the Quantox and like, she was fascinated because there were like wild horses there. And she was loving it. She was like leaning out the car window like, ooh, come here, Callie. And that. And we went home and we had like a fat lamb roast. Everything. I remember she was loving that as well, like with the mint sauce and the lamb and all that. And I slow cooked the lamb so it was like melting in your mouth. And then we had a pretty good night watching Kong and playing Harry Potter on the keyboard and that. And then
Some hash brownies.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
That was so funny. Drew was like fucking getting. Oh no, it's alright.
It's alright. We're off air.
Yeah.
This is the X-rated part of the podcast.
This is X-rated on YouTube. This is X-rated. And I remember like Drew was getting like really in touch with his ancestral man.
Man,
and meanwhile, I was just like,
balls.
wait a minute. If he's a male, where's this giant gorilla cock? Drew was there, going on this journey.
Yeah, no, I remember that. I remember that now. And it was this thing of like seeing all these prehistoric creatures, because it was like Kong against these like crazy
weird
weird lizards and stuff. And I just had this full vision of like all that prehistoric energy of those creatures gone by. All it was ever about was eating. So it was like eating each other, and it was this constant cycle of that eating that, of that eating that. And I went onto this trip of that and was just like, oh yeah, for like a whole massive part of the evolution of the world, it is just literally these fucking scary things just eating each other.
And I remember,
and I was like. And in my mind, like
Carmen was like full on doing the same as you, wasn't she? And then obviously because
she was witchy high, man. She was chucking some energy about and everything.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
But I remember she was like balls deep into it as well. And then I remember like afterwards, because I was like picked up on it, and I got like excited because they were excited, and obviously because I'm so into like prehistory and like dinosaurs and that, I was like, right, this is my chance. So I was like, I'm just gonna show him like some mental stuff on like YouTube.
Right.
So I was just I was typing in like all of these like all these like some of these mental animals that lived. And I just remember like Carmen was watching it, and she's just super wide eyed, and then every now and again she would look at me and she was just like, "These were real?" And I was like, yeah, and she was like, "Oh my god!" And then she just like go back to watching it like you just like wide-eyed again.
Kong is a perfect movie for that scenario.
Oh man, it was like, I reckon like that and Doctor Strange were the two best movies I've ever watched. Like after like with some under the influence. Yeah, under the influence.
Oh, Doctor Strange, man. Yeah, I remember you saying that. You were like, man, you got to watch that movie.
Man, the next one's gonna be even like crazier as well.
Oh, I cannot wait. The multiverse of man. Apparently, that's gonna change the MCU forever. That's
gonna be insane. I'm gonna go watch that properly though.
Oh, me too. I'm going to make sure I will
come with you?
Mate, let's do it.
I think I'm going with Josh as well.
Every man.
Boom. I'll make sure I don't...
Coming, Drew?
If I'm making a sandwich, I'll make sure it's not in tin foil.
Yeah. Otherwise you're out.
Yeah. Otherwise I'm going to be... I was going to say decluded. That's a new word.
You'll be decluded.
I will be decluded from...
you.
I declude you from the club. What even was I thinking of?
Excluded.
Excluded, yeah.
Decluded.
I will be decluded.
Maybe a bit of departure in there as well.
Yeah, I think sometimes my brain goes to mix like 2 or maybe even 3 words, and I invent a new word, and they all sort of mean the same thing, but it's like my brain hasn't figured out which one to pick, and I fuse them.
Yeah.
Troublem.
My brain.
Troublums. First world troublums.
My brain like works in a circle, and I've realised that recently when I've been editing the podcast.
Right.
Because I'll be watching the podcast back, and every single time, this happens like every single episode when I'm editing it, you'll say something or Drew will say something or whatever, and I'll have a thought in my head, and then like right after the thought I'll say what I was thinking.
Oh really?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right after the thought. Oh, okay. As you're watching it, okay. I thought you meant that's
so it's almost like
doing conversation.
It's you're so in tune with yourself, obviously. That it's almost like weird, like. Because you're so in tune with your own brain that you forget what you were going to say actually on the podcast. But then when you're watching it, it's like it pops into your head, and then you can tell it's popped into your head as you're listening to it, and then you say it. Yeah, I find that all the time. I found that loads when my favourite episode that we did was the one where we talked about like Greenland sharks and stuff. We talked about so much cool stuff in that episode, and I just remember that I had full on that. It was almost like every single thing that one of you had said, because it had been like months since we'd done it when I'd listened to it. It was like one of you would say something, and it would trigger something in my head, and I'd think that reminds me of that, and then I'd say blah 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 blah, and it'd be exactly what I thought, and I would almost think it was really funny. Do you know what I mean? I was like, you'd almost think it was the same person.
Yes.
You are listening to Pandora's Box. We are all wearing socks because we live in Britain, Northwest Europe.
I ain't wearing socks, man.
You ain't wearing any socks?
Yeah, I am really.
I wouldn't put it past him. Sometimes, just for everyone listening, sometimes it's just like, I'll just notice that Drew's just barefoot in the studio. I mean, fair play. If we were living in like Mexico or something, do you know what I mean? But like we're living in Britain, you know. It's even though it's
really.
Yeah, I'll notice that Drew's just
I've
walking
never
around
noticed.
barefoot.
Yeah, I like to go.
I mean, to be
barefoot
fair,
as
we
much
can't
as I can. Really,
we can't see each other's feet right now.
Yeah.
But there's been times, when I suddenly noticed he's walked out the room and he's just like got no shoes and socks on. Do you know what I mean?
I've never,
Yeah.
never noticed that.
As I said, as I said, if we lived in like Mexico or something, and you were wearing like sandals and you kicked him off under the table.
Yeah.
But as I said, we live in Britain, and even though it's April now,
It's quite damp.
Well, yeah, and it was like it got a bit warmer for about a week, didn't it?
Yeah, and then it got really cold again.
And then because I remember it was almost like I was like, when you like get accustomed to something. So I was like, oh, okay, it's warmer now.
Summer.
And then suddenly I like left the house in like shorts and a t-shirt, and I was like, actually, it's like really cold. And then I checked the temperature, and it was like 4 degrees centigrade.
Yeah, I turned off all the heating in my house, and it takes a full 24 hours because I've got storage heaters for it to come on again.
Yeah.
And and just one day I was like, this is freezing in here. Like, what's going on? Like, I turned it off like a week ago.
I nearly died on the way home this weekend.
Ooh.
Just because of how cold it was.
Really?
It was like -1, -2, but I wasn't prepared.
What day was
for it
that?
to be that cold.
Well, do you mean when you were with us or when you were out with your friends?
No, Saturday night. Night.
Oh, you went out on the lash with your
mates. I thought you'd had your beer jacket on.
I should have done. Should have had
was it
some
that
kind
cold,
of jacket
was it?
on.
Was it that cold?
Like -1. It was meant to like snow or something at some point.
Oh,
as
I
well.
heard that there was a rumour that it was going to snow, wasn't
Apparently it did
Yeah.
in some places.
I did know that it got -0 though. I did know that it got -0. But as I said,
Horrible.
That's just British life for you, isn't it?
Problems.
First world problems. As I said, I don't mind it at all. I don't mind the cold weather. But obviously you want to be dressed appropriately. You do want to be dressed appropriately for it, obviously. Do you know what I mean? Even if you are a warm-blooded fella.
There's this thing when you get too cold and it's like you get cold to the bone.
Oh, and then you need to spend like half an hour to an hour actually like properly focusing on warming up.
Yes. Like having a nice bath. Like it's so crazy how much having just a real nice bath can just warm you up so much completely.
Oh man,
from the inside, outside, all over.
I'm quite cold-blooded, I reckon. Anyway,
I think
I'm in summer. I never get too hot.
Yeah,
I'm like I can wear a hoodie in summer comfortably.
As I said though before, I think one of the reasons for that is you're very slim and you're not very hairy. As you get older, you'll thicken out and you'll get hairier. I know this from experience. Every year I get a little bit more like a walking rug. Do you know what I mean? But it's like we're like a similar height, but I'm like so many stones heavier than you. I think that's just pure chunk. So I mean, so it's like I'm just a thicker, meatier guy. So I think that's all like insulation that you haven't got.
Yeah.
So I mean, it makes sense to me, But it's like the same reason why I would struggle on the hottest summer days in Britain. Is probably the same reason why you would struggle on the coldest winter days. Well, I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah. I'm like two or three layers. I'm good to go. I very rarely actually wear proper coats.
I normally in winter I'll wear like pajamas underneath like joggers.
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously? Yeah. I like something they're like really childish.
Like those onesie pajamas. Like what are they called? Long johns.
No, they're real. I could probably wear
like a
them
miner.
as like joggers,
like a miner or like a cowboy.
Yeah,
like
with a little bum flap.
Yeah. That's so funny, man. No, I wouldn't ever do anything like that. I mean, I wouldn't ever be cold enough.
Just think how nice like wearing pajamas is.
Yeah,
and then just think of wearing pajamas out in public.
I like the idea that like you're out in public with people and people just assume obviously that you're dressed normally because you are. But you're
I think the last time I had a pair of pajamas, I was like 10.
Yeah, me too.
What?
But I love the idea that
pajamas are amazing.
I really want some like silk. What were you saying? Like you had these like really nice.
Oh, like granddad.
Yeah,
pajamas.
like really nice. Yeah. Like kind of like that'd be so cool to have a proper pair of pajamas.
I think there's something really funny though about. As I said, like, each to their own. But when you like hear of like somebody that's like 25 or 30 and they're wearing like full on granddad pajamas to bed every night, I'm a bit like, all right, nerd. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, literally, like, I pretty much just like usually sleep either naked or just with boxers.
Yeah,
naked.
Yeah, no, I don't sleep in them.
Yeah,
but it's just like comfortable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have what I sort of
your comfies.
Oh yeah, I just call them like my comfies.
Oh right.
So like I usually if it's like winter. I'll usually just put on like joggers and a t-shirt, maybe a hoodie if it's a really cold night, and then in summer it's just shorts and a t-shirt, and that's like my comfies.
Yeah, I remember I had these like Calvin Klein and I thought I was real posh because I had some at Calvin Klein, but they were like I think they were pajama bottoms, but they were like almost like boxers, but just all the way down to the leg, and they were like real comfy. And I was like, I miss those. It's good to get comfies.
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
to get your comfies.
There's something really nice. Huh?
I've got an hoodie now.
Have you?
Yeah, and I wear it to the cinema.
Is that like a full body hoodie? Or is it like a blanket?
It's
that's
like
also.
It's like a blanket hoodie sort of thing.
So it's almost like a poncho.
Yeah. Like fluffy.
Yeah. Oh, like a fluffy.
But I wear it to I bring it like whenever I'm going to the cinema, because I go to the cinema to watch films a lot, I just put that on, and it's like being in bed.
Nice.
Fair play.
Cozy.
Fair play. One thing I always think is like handy about something like that, and it's probably one of the reasons they used to wear them. But I always think of like a poncho or anything. It's like really handy because say if you end up having to sleep rough, you've essentially got a blanket on.
Oh, I love my
Do you know what I
poncho,
mean?
man. It's one of my favourite pieces of clothing equipment.
Yeah,
because it is literally you can
yeah.
roll it up as a pillow, or just have it as like a.
It's like a Mexican thing.
Yeah,
originally.
or put it down as like a picnic blanket if you're out and stuff.
Unless I'm just like I've watched one too many spaghetti westerns. I think it was used by more like Mexican cowboys, wasn't it? I assume it's like because it's quite hardy.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Do you know what I mean it's quite a hardy piece of clothing?
And like South America,
it will protect you from the sun, but it will also
the wind and the rain as well.
It's like quite versatile, and then you can use it as a blanket if you need to sleep outside.
That's it, because in Peru it's all like the llamas and stuff, and it's made out of llama, and they're everywhere in Peru, and it's because it would protect you from the wind, the rain, and like the sun, and because it's quite thin.
Because in some of those spaghetti westerns, when like both like Clint Eastwood, the Man with No Name, and also some of his like I know that there are some like bad guys in it and stuff that are like Mexican cowboys, and they're all wearing ponchos. Do you know what I mean? They're always wearing like sombreros, like ponchos, and got funny mustaches. yeah. But it's pretty cool. Anyway, pretty cool piece of clothing.
Pretty versatile.
Let's get yourself an hoodie, man.
Yeah, I do want one now. You said about it. Like, ooh.
There's no shame in an hoodie.
No, it's something really nice in there about like the end of the day, especially if you've been wearing like a suit or like boots and jeans all day or something, and then you almost like get so accustomed to it, you don't even realise that you're actually a bit uncomfortable, and then you finally get out of it at the end of the day when you get home, and then you put on something really comfy, like joggers, and you're just in like your socks and joggers and like a nice cottony t-shirt, and you're like, oh, this is amazing.
I've noticed this weird thing that happens to me as well.
What's that?
Like, do your feet ever
Here
like...
Here we go.
When you get to a certain point in the night, do your feet all of a sudden get like really hot and start sweating?
No, but I mean, I'm usually the sort of person that will stick a foot or two out of the bed.
What, in bed?
No, so literally I wear socks all day, and then at a certain time in the evening, like, because the thought of wearing socks to bed is the most horrible thing because it's just they'll be so hot. It's almost like my body starts thinking about bed or something, and my feet just getting real hot, and I just have to take my socks off because they'll just start sweating in my socks. But it hasn't been like that all day. It's just like as soon as I get like bed in my mind, it's like my feet will be like, right, get this off me now.
I don't think I've got that, but I can understand where that would come from.
I love the idea that like at like 8 p.m. on the dot every night, Drew's feet just start sweating just for no reason.
It's their time of night.
It just suddenly he just started to feel something, and then he just like looks at the clock, and it's like like in a movie where someone looks at the clock and then like zooms in on the clock, and he's like,
I do think that because I'm like, why do I want to take my socks off? Like I've had them on all day, but it's just like they get real uncomfortable by like late at night.
Well, in summertime, I will just walk around in barefoot as much as I can.
Good man.
Because it's too hot to wear shoes.
I've got bed socks.
Have you?
Fluffy socks.
He's got bed socks.
I mean, not to wear to bed. They're just called bed socks.
Until
fluffy socks.
Until like the hot months come around, I will usually just walk around the house in like like a pair of socks, and I've got some slippers as well.
Yeah, I don't like slippers.
Nah, I can't wear slippers. My feet just
they're not actually slippers, but I wear them as slippers. They're just like those little like laceless like Vans shoes.
Right.
You know, they're like Daps.
Yeah,
they're essentially which is quite extravagant for Daps, really.
The most extravagant.
Or like for slippers. But the thing is because like I want something that they're not going to get ruined if I go out in the garden. Do you know what I mean? Like if I need to walk down the garden, I can still keep them on, but they're
indoor
still
shoes.
But they're like I was going to say they're slippery, but do you know what I mean? In terms of like, you can
slippery little things.
I can like walk in the house and I'll like say I'm about to sit on my sofa, and I can like literally just like kick them off easy as pie, and then if I get up again to walk into the kitchen, I'll put them back on again because like if you've been washing up or something, there might be like a little wet patch you don't realise, and then you like got a clean pair of socks on, and how annoying it is if you step in a wet patch. Obviously, if you're wearing slippers, that negates that problem.
Yeah, now I got a dog as well. His like water bowls in the kitchen, and he just goes in, it's like
typical dog.
And then I come in and I'm like, standing in wetness. We've got a little towel we just have to keep there now.
Maybe you're not actually sweating, you're just standing in puddles.
Yeah. No, that's cold, man. That's cold water.
Yeah, man. I've got getting onto more of like an educational thing.
Instead of like socks.
Do you know what the largest ever man-made flying airship was?
I do, but I'm not going to say it because I only know because you told me.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Okay, we'll put it like this then. before I tell everyone what it is, do you know? Take a guess at how long it was.
Ooh.
How many feet long do you think the largest ever
200.
Ooh, no, a lot more than that, my friend.
A lot more than that. I was going to say 100.
Mate,
350.
Man, over twice as much.
What?
Well, like 700.
The largest ever airship, call it an airship because it wasn't a plane, was the Hindenburg Zeppelin. So it was built by the Germans. It was 804 feet long. It was
804 feet.
It was more than 3 times the length of a Boeing 747.
Whoa.
More than 3 times the size. And like several times.
Were they
about
like
4 or 5
helium balloons,
times.
like
Yes.
helium ships? Yeah.
So obviously they're not around
You've
today.
got a picture of that,
Yeah.
Nathaniel.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see pictures, not only of all of our visages, but also as we're talking about these different topics, young Bullwinkle over here will be getting up pictures of what we're talking about. In my opinion, YouTube's the best place to listen / watch
exclusives
us.
too.
Because you get
exclusive. Anytime we do the off-air bits,
yeah, you
get
get exclusive content, so extra. The episodes will be longer sometimes, and also you get the pictures. And I feel like it's just a bit more interactive and what's the word I'm looking for? Immersive. If you're like here with us, you know what I mean. You get to see us. You get to see the people behind the voices. You know. But yeah, the Hindenburg. So it was a massive airship built by the Germans, and it's also. Really, it's known for absolute tragedy. Tragedy.
Yes.
Tragedy.
I can see that in that picture there.
Yeah,
Because on May the
Look at
6th, 1937, while it was it'd done a journey from Germany to New Jersey in the United States, and as it was going into land, it set on fire. And because they're made of
helium,
they're made of combustible elements. That's essentially, literally, how they fly. It literally, apparently, there was a spark that set somewhere in the Zeppelin, and within seconds, the whole entire thing. And there's footage of it. You can watch black and white footage. In fact, Bullwinkle, I don't think it will be like protected or anything like that, or anybody will own it necessarily. So maybe try and get a clip on it for everyone to watch as I'm talking about it.
I'll let you know when I get one up.
Yeah, sure. I'll just carry on chatting. But yeah, there are people with cameras ready because it was notorious as being the largest ever ship ever built.
They were filming it anyway.
Apparently, it was insane to watch it in the sky. You know, obviously, like everyone knows what it's like if sometimes there's like you're near like a low flying big plane. Like commercial plane or military, and it's quite amazing, isn't it? Even when one day watching one go over, you're like, whoa, that's crazy.
Oh, even the other day, I was walking along the canal, and there was
military plane.
No, there was a massive air balloon. Like real close, and it was coming in to land in one of the fields that was like just next to the canal, and I'd never really seen one like that up close before, and it was massive. It was like this big Virgin one.
Yeah, but imagine something that's over 800 feet long.
I don't know how big that was. Yeah.
My thing with blimps has always been like what is actually inside of them.
Well, it's mainly helium and there's two. I think there's two
elements.
Two elements, isn't it? Helium, and there's one other. I can't remember what it is.
Is it made for like
transporting,
it might be hydrogen, or is it literally just
So the whole
it makes
bottom
it float.
Part,
I think of like a balloon. Think of like a helium balloon. Yeah. They float, don't they?
Yeah, I just mean apart from the helium.
They use them to transfer things.
Right.
So rather than a
plane,
cargo
ship in the air.
Yeah. So they were used for exactly the same purposes as planes.
Right.
It's just a different way of travelling.
I almost always wondered if like having too much stuff in there would just completely like weigh it down.
Yeah, I think that's probably why they were so big as well. Yeah. So that you could you probably needed it that big to carry as much as you'd normally carry in a plane, you know.
But typical Hitler had a little bit of an obsession with things that were like ridiculously grandiose.
Right.
And he did use them to affect in a way, but the problem with things that tend to be absolutely massive is they're more psychologically intimidating than they are actually put into practice. So I know as well, I can't remember the name of the tank, but Hitler tried to make the German military essentially make this like ridiculously massive tank, which would have been like bigger than like an AT-AT from Star Wars.
Right.
It was.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it would have been like massive. It would have literally been like, think of like a tank, and then imagine that like 10 times the size, maybe more, See if you can get a picture of that
Oh
up.
my
Actually,
God.
type in.
I do have the video.
Oh,
up
yeah, let's
if
quickly
you wanna
watch that.
this first.
Yeah, okay. Let's watch a video of this. So this was the Hindenburg disaster, just coming into land in New Jersey, 6th of May, 1937, and it's actually scary watching it. So I said, if you're not watching on YouTube, go over to YouTube. Our shows come out on YouTube every Friday at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
So
Whoa, look
there's a
at
couple day lag.
Just up in flames.
Yeah.
Apparently, like the screams of the people watching as well, because it would have been like really traumatizing. Think about it, because it's so massive
Just
and almost
burns.
yeah,
It's just gone.
Yeah,
But-
that's seconds,
Like,
isn't
look
it?
at it.
yeah.
All
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
It cost at the time it cost the Nazi Party's regime, Hitler's regime, in those days the equivalent in those days 3 million. So I don't know what the equivalent would be in modern day money, but it would be through the roof. I mean, as I said, you could probably Google like what would 3 million be in today's money, but it cost them an insane amount of money.
I can imagine it wouldn't be an amazing like warm like time kind of
Hydrogen.
thing.
It was hydrogen and helium.
Yeah. Because like if you were to shoot the side of it, wouldn't it come down very easy? Or would
They don't seem like.
Actually, the
smart.
Germans during the First World War, so obviously this had nothing to do with Hitler, but during the First World War, Germany actually used Zeppelins to conduct aerial bombings on London and Paris.
What?
And but apparently it's one of those things, as I said, it was more psychologically scary than it was in practice. So
I would have thought we could take them down like really easy.
Yeah, you'd think that if you like even just fired a rocket launcher,
Yeah.
just like boom, you know what I mean?
It's
Because
like
it's a big slow target, isn't it?
Watching that video, it's like when you put cotton candy in water, and it
It's
just instantly like dissolves.
yeah.
That's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah.
When it, like, burns down.
Yeah.
Just
it's
crumples.
crazy because it looks so big and impressive, and then it's almost just like,
gone.
and because of how combustible the elements are, it literally it's just like
Gone in
it's almost like
seconds.
instantaneous.
So was there no people on the ship? Or was
Oh no, there were a lot
of.
I say there were a lot of people. I think there were just there were 97 people on the ship.
Whoa!
97 people on the ship.
And they all died.
They didn't all die. Crazy.
What?
Yeah, I know it's crazy, but they didn't all die. Out of 97 people, weirdly, only 35 people died.
What?
Did
it just fall quite slow then?
The good thing, like literally, the easiest way to think of a Zeppelin is like a massive balloon.
Yeah.
Right? So imagine if you popped a balloon, it does like if you shoot a plane down, it goes because the metal and everything's so heavy. Because it's essentially mostly just almost like air. Like it's almost like popping a balloon. It's just going to go like so. It took.
Yeah, but that's only if you let like a little bit. If you pop a balloon, just go.
Yeah. But like take the Hindenburg disaster. So it took the Zeppelin once it set alight. It took between 30 and 35 seconds for it to hit the ground. So there were no injuries that took place as a result of like blunt force trauma through the crash. They were all burned.
Well, yeah,
it was all burned.
heat, yeah.
So although everybody on board got burns, but only 35 people actually had burns to the point where they died. So don't get me wrong, I'm sure there were probably some very horribly disfigured people. I suspect some people had like 3rd-degree burns for the rest of their lives and essentially looked like just completely disfigured. But as I said, at the same time, considering how destructive the incident looks, and considering there were 97 people, the fact that only 35 people died is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just want to get back to what I was saying about like the bombing though with them. So yeah, so Germany used them as bombing for raids. They weren't anywhere near as successful as aeroplanes in bombing, but apparently the best thing that they achieved really was the psychological intimidation amongst the people of Paris and London. So apparently it'd be really
They probably
scary.
wouldn't have seen something like that before as well.
And then you hear the air like sirens going off, and they'd look in the sky and this almost like flying fortress were just becoming like dropping bombs. Apparently it was very terrifying, especially because let's face it, the average person, especially in those days where information isn't readily available to you and you can just quickly Google something, they don't know how easy it is to destroy it. They're not used to seeing things flying as it is because, like, let's face it, the First World War, like, that wasn't long after even planes had been invented.
No.
Right, so people weren't even that used to seeing planes in the sky. As I said earlier on, it's still pretty cool if you see a plane in the sky nowadays, if it's flying low, or like, like if you see like a Chinook, like a helicopter or something like that, it's still cool now. Now imagine only like, shortly after, a few decades after the plane's even been invented. There's not going to be very many vehicles in the sky as it is. When you suddenly see this flying fortress, which is bigger than anything we have in the sky today.
Star Destroyer coming towards you.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Like dropping bombs on your city. Psychologically, to the people that didn't know about them, it would have been probably pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of apparently the Second World War, and even beforehand, Winston Churchill just completely dismissed them as threats. He apparently Winston Churchill once described them as enormous bladders of combustible and explosive gas.
Yeah, that's literally it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but so like he was like completely on the money, really, because apparently he said that before the Hindenburg disaster even took place. So he was pretty much on the money with that.
I've got the Land Cruiser up, which was the Hitler's 1,000-ton supertank.
1,000 ton. So have you got a picture of that up? Have you got like a picture of it like compared to like another tank or something? Because I want people.
There is a tank on the right. Yeah.
Is there? So there's like an actual tank. Right. So what tank is it? Is it like a Panzer?
It's like a painting.
Right. Does it say what tank it is though? Is it like a Panzer or something like that? Right. So I assume the tank on the right is just like an average sized like.
Yeah, that's huge compared to that.
Yeah, so apparently what he wanted was to have them stationed in Berlin.
So it wasn't ever built then, it was just proposed to be
built.
The
reason why they weren't built, and apparently like Hitler really had to be talked down because he really wanted them to be made, but apparently they were like, look, if you make these, like, don't get me wrong, psychologically they look terrifying, but they were like, but they're so big, if it breaks down, to get that thing going again, it's going to cost like hundreds of thousands of pounds, probably just to get it moving again. Yeah. Not just that, but the downside of it being obviously so massive and that, they were like, although it's a massive unit of a tank, it's such a massive target. If British and American and Canadian and Russian bombers fly over Berlin, and they will just put so many bombs on it. They will land so many bombs on it. They could literally land like 100 bombs on it in a space of like half an hour, and it would cause so much damage. The thing would almost just be like irreparable. You know, it'd be irreparable damage, and then you'd be left with something that's probably destroyed their economy. Because think about how much money it would cost to make these things. The sheer production, all the parts in the factories would have to be specially made. The amount of money, the amount of manpower that has to be put in to make them. Like, Hitler was very known for being very grandiose. As I said, he liked these ideas of like these massive things and psychological like warfare and being intimidating. But in practice, things like this very rarely actually work out.
Pay off.
Yeah. There's once you get past a certain size, it's more of a hindrance than it is one of the reasons why the Blitzkrieg tactics that Hitler and the Nazis used during the Second World War was so effective was more because of the speed. Really, it wasn't. They had amazing tanks, but it was more because it was like they come out of nowhere. All these tanks would come out of nowhere, destroy the hell out of everything, and then they would move on. They would just be like crushing trees as they went.
So were they quite fast, the tanks then, or not fast, but like they could get in and out quite quickly?
I would guess around 25 to 30 miles an hour. That's what I would guess. Would you guess like? Would you type in Bullwinkle? Say what the speed of like a Nazi tank was. Like during the Second World War, during the Blitzkriegs. Like maybe type in like Blitzkrieg Nazi tank or something like that. Because I know they had several tanks. I think one of them was called the Panzers. I think during. I think the Panzer tanks. I think that's what.
The tank had a. This is a Sherman tank.
Oh, a Sherman. Was that Second World War though? Yeah. Was that Second World War?
Apparently.
Okay, well, as long as it was, yeah.
I just put how fast was a World War II tank.
Right.
The tank had a maximum speed of 38 to 46 kilometres, 24 to 29 miles per hour.
There you go. That's pretty much spot on.
Yeah, because I knew that they would have obviously gone super fast, but for something obviously that's that big and intimidating, it would have seemed very fast.
Yeah, and it's like fast. You say, can go over all different types of terrain.
Just crush trees, through like muddy fields, through snow, and as I said, it's fast enough that you can cover distance quickly. It's fast enough that you could roll into a town, destroy it, and then be at the next town in like a few hours, isn't it? So it's fast enough, which is all you need, isn't it? But as I said, if you have these like ridiculously massive sluggish things, it's like it's not. It's not. It's, as I said, it ends up being more of a hindrance. But apparently, the first ever Zeppelin was produced in 1900 by a man called Ferdinand Graf von Zeppelin, and that's why they're called.
Von Zeppelin.
That's why they're called Zeppelins. And the first ever Zeppelin was launched was the rigid-hulled LZ-1. So there you go.
Was that in Germany?
Yes. Yeah. It's a nice bit of interest in.
Would you want to go on a Zeppelin?
No. I'd like to go on a hot air balloon.
yeah, definitely.
Which is like quite similar.
They always used to terrify me.
Yeah.
I'd always be scared to go on one, but I would go on one.
Yeah. It is. It's like you think you're up there. Oh, I just think, when you saw that video of it burning as well, just the heat that must be coming off it, not just in the flames, but like you'd probably be like on the ground feeling the heat from that burning.
Oh yeah,
do you know
100%.
what I mean? It sounds crazy. I remember I watched this thing the other day about the Hiroshima bomb.
Oh yeah,
and it was kind of soldiers that had been there or near Japan when it had happened.
Yeah.
And they were just told by their like sergeants and stuff, or like their officers when they were on the ships, like you need to put your head down now and you need to cover your eyes and your head because it's like this flat. You're gonna feel this flash. And they said it was the most scary thing ever because they were obviously miles and miles and miles away from the actual thing.
Yeah.
But apparently there was just this white flash, and they said they would just this thing just like went through them. And it was like
the initial blast,
the heat, the G-force of that, the shockwave. That was it, like just the shockwave of the, and it was this heat that it would just go through your body. And I was just like, man, that sounds like
what I think's
crazy.
absolutely what I think's absolutely mad is I think the most powerful nuclear bomb on the planet is called the Tsar bomb.
Yeah, Tsar bomba.
Have you ever seen like a picture? If you get that up on that'd be a good thing for people to see. Look at the picture of the mushroom cloud of a Tsar bomb compared to the Hiroshima bomb, and that is crazy. It's like 10 times the size at least. It's like 10 times, and then you think about that being dropped on a city nowadays or something, and it's like scary.
Tsar bomba. Have you seen the video of what's the one that's dropped in the ocean? Have you ever seen that video? That's one of the most mental videos I've ever seen.
I know.
in my life.
I shared it on the Pandora's Box Instagram.
Oh, really?
So yeah, that's another thing because I said we only started on Instagram recently. But for anyone out there listening, come follow us on Instagram and also our other social media. So we've got our Instagram and our TikToks. Those are the two forums that we're on mainly. As I said, and YouTube as well. But I pretty much bang on about that all the time. But yeah, if you go over and follow us on Instagram and stuff, we share like interest and stuff all the time. I know I literally put up a video of it was some American nuclear bomb that had been tested in off like something like 10 miles off the coast of the Pacific or something, but it's crazy, like the waves like go almost like a mile in the sky. I mean, it might not be a mile, but you see it, and considering how far it is in the distance, it still looks insanely high. Like what made me almost like feel a bit bad though was like I was almost like imagining like some dolphins.
No, I don't.
I was almost like imagining like some dolphins or some whales just like, having some family time. And then suddenly, boom. And I thought, if you think about it, that's really messed up. Like, think how much like wildlife you would have killed.
Yeah, totally.
And don't get me wrong, like, I'm all for like, I'm like all for like the cycle of life and the food chain and that. So I think, if a predator ate me, fair play. If I eat, if I eat some meat to sustain myself, fair play. But what I draw the line at is almost like needless killing.
Yeah,
you're killing something just thoughtlessly. That's just that's when in my opinion it becomes wrong.
I've got the video up now. This is unbelievable.
Frogs.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. What's going on?
What's up, man?
Trey?
What's up, dog?
What's up, dog?
Is it just like no sound, but you can see the...
Yeah, no, nothing.
Oh,
We've got it up, though. We got it up. Look at that.
Whoa, look at that.
That's not... I don't even know if that's the one that we've both seen.
Yeah.
But this is just like another one I've seen. And then like the second explosion is like even bigger.
Yeah, because it's weird, isn't it? It's like, I don't know what it is about it.
So like implode.
There's like an initial explosion, and then there seems to be a second one, and almost like a third one. Do you know what I mean? It's really crazy.
That was crazy. It makes me think of as well. When we talk sometimes about like the Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson thing, when they're talking about a meteor impact that could have happened potentially happened across America
about 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, and
maybe
this whole thing about
12,000.
the Great Flood and all of that could coincide with this idea of the Great Flood. But a meteor that's so
Noah's Ark and all those stories.
Like where that could actually come from that, and like when the meteor hit, it would hit ice, but it would instantly turn the ice into water. Like that just blows my mind. It's almost like something that's so hot, and that kind of explosion is of such a heat that it would just instantly change whatever it's impacting. So like ice, complete ice caps and everything would just turn into water and then just start flooding everything.
Instantaneous.
Like
so
that's
crazy.
It's mad, isn't it? I think those kind of things happen, and those big blasts.
I think it's all to do with
that.
like perspective, because like. Imagine if you had, say, like an ice cube, and you dropped, I don't know,
a Bunsen burner on it. It just like Bunsen burner.
Yeah, I'm imagining like if you if you heated
firecracker.
up something metal, like something smaller metal, like a little, I don't know, like a little ball of metal, until it was like, you know, insanely hot, and then you dropped it on the glass, on like the ice cube, it would make sense to us that it would turn. But obviously, because of our perspective, because to us, like when something like that would happen, like a massive meteor that would then turn, obviously, like, you know, ice caps to water instantaneously, that would be the same as if you were like a dust mite watching that ice cube. So it would probably seem mental to that dust mite, but it's all about perspective, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's all about perspective.
Totally.
Right? But anyway, carrying on our theme, I thought like the flight in itself is an amazing thing, isn't it? You know, whether it's things that humans have created to artificially fly, or just it's just really interesting that things have actually just evolved to learn how to fly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not obviously not every species of animal has been able to do it. You know, like subspecies. The only ones that have obviously done it are insects. Insects were the first to master the skies. Obviously, of course, like pterosaurs, so reptilians. They're not actually dinosaurs. Sometimes people think that pterosaurs were dinosaurs. They're not. They're a type of reptilian flying animal. And obviously, we think that, you know,
is that like pterodactyls?
Yeah,
stuff?
pterodactyls. Yeah, and the largest ever flying animal, which you talked about before on Pandora's Box, was a pterosaur. So it was Quetzalcoatlus, and obviously that was named after the South American god of the skies, Quetzalcoatl. But and that was like bigger than a plane. So that was literally like bigger than a lot of planes. So that was like the largest thing to ever take to the skies. Its skull alone is bigger than a fully grown man.
Whoa, dude!
And
it's mental.
It's where the ideas of dragons could have come from. I can imagine if you dig up bones like that.
And like if they were just stood on land, they would be as tall as a giraffe. When you take into account that giraffe nowadays is the tallest animal on the planet. Right. In terms of just height. Right. So obviously elephants are the largest land animals, but giraffes are the tallest. You know, these are big animals. So imagine that its head would have been like up there with a giraffe. But these things could fly. Yeah. Absolutely crazy, isn't it? So but yeah, before so pterosaurs master the skies, and then after them birds, and obviously the last thing to master the skies were mammals, but there's only one type of obviously you know, subspecies of mammalian flight animals, and that is
the water vole.
And that is the majestic flying water vole. No, it's bats, obviously. Bats. Yeah, bats.
Bats, mammal bats.
Bats are mammals, and obviously there are lots of different species of bats. The biggest types of bats are flying foxes. So but the thing is I know that some people probably think they look scary, but they're completely harmless because they eat fruit. Sometimes people just call them fruit bats.
Yeah, fruit bats. I was going to say that. Yeah.
But or flying foxes. Sometimes people call them flying foxes. So like so they look almost like a fox, and often have like a red coloured fur, but then have like massive wings. And they're big animals. Don't get me wrong, they are big animals.
They look quite cute.
Yeah, they are cute because they don't have the same sort of like, you know, like some bats, they do have like quite horrible faces. No, it's not like something you want to take home to your mother. No. Do you know what I mean? No. But yeah, but as I said, those ones, you can see why they call them flying foxes, because they look very much like foxes, don't they? Yeah. But yeah, as I said, insects were the first animals to master the skies, and I thought it'd be quite cool to just quickly talk about and it's also it was a flying insect that was the largest insect that's ever lived. Whoa! So obviously nowadays there are some pretty big damn insects. I think people would be surprised at how big some insects grow today.
Like centipede ones and stuff.
Well, all sorts of things. I mean, there are lots of big bugs, but the largest ever insect was called Meganeuropsis. And it was a
Meganeuropsis. You gotta get that up, man.
It had a wingspan of 75 centimeters.
Oh, it looks like a dragonfly a bit.
Yeah. So it basically looks. Some people just call them giant dragonflies. That's one of the common things that people call them. But they would have sort of like went extinct during the late Permian period. So they were extinct before the dinosaurs had even come about. So
you got a fossil. That's cool.
Yeah. They first evolved about 317 million years ago, and they died out 247 million years ago. So they lasted for 70 million years.
Not bad.
Which is very impressive.
Yeah.
As I said, Homo sapiens as we are now, as I know I've said this before, have been as we are now for about 200,000 years. And the first hominid evolved about 2 million years ago. So I think those giant dragonflies were on the Earth for 70 million years.
I don't reckon we'll make it for 70 million.
No. We've got a hell of a long time to go before we make it to them. I mean, the only thing I think why we might is because of someone like Elon Musk like colonizing Mars. And then it's like if anything happened to the Earth, Do you know what I mean? We'd have like a backup. I think that's basically why he's doing it, though, isn't it? Anyway, back to the flying stuff before we branch off too much. But yeah, so Meganeuropsis. Did you get a picture of it?
Yeah, we got them all up.
So I said that was from the late Permian. That's when it sort of like died out. But yeah, largest insect ever. But I said there are some massive insects alive today, and all the three largest ones are all moths.
Okay,
they're all moths. So one of them is the Atlas moth, which is from Southeast Asia.
Caterpillar of it looks insane as well. We got all the photos of these up now.
Man, they are massive. They sort of like grow anywhere between sort of like 25 and 30 centimeters in terms of wingspan. But think about that. That's like that, isn't it? Imagine like a moth with like a wingspan like that. Like that's
a proper beautiful one as well.
Yeah.
Another one is a South American one called the white witch moth. That's also got a wingspan of up to sort of like 29 centimeters.
That's cool.
Yeah.
This moth is also known as the birdwing moth or the ghost moth. So yeah, massive moth. And also another one is the Hercules moth. So this is found in tropical North Queensland.
Looks like it's got 2 snakes or something.
It probably does that.
Look at
Obviously,
this
it's
one.
like as a defense mechanism.
Almost looks like it's got like 2 snakes on the wing.
Oh yeah, wow, like snake
Yeah.
See
heads.
what I mean? Yeah.
A lot of animals do that, especially insects, don't they? In nature,
Yeah.
they'll mimic larger predators to put off things like birds. Because even though that moth is like massive, so
Bird
like
gets on its body.
to like
it's
a big
gone.
bird, that's still like just a delicious
the
snack.
juicy
So
bit in
if
the
it
middle.
makes it look like a snake or something, you're deterring predators.
Yeah.
So this is a
Flying
stupid
snake.
question, but is an arachnid an insect?
No, an arachnid is an arachnid.
Yeah, so they're not classed as insects still.
No, they're very closely related. Do you know what I mean?
Because I think things like arachnids, if they were massive, they would be like monsters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If there was an arachnid that was like the size of a horse or something, that would be like the
Like in Harry
scariest
Potter.
thing ever. Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure this is correct. I'm pretty sure that all insects have 6 legs and all arachnids have
8.
Yeah. Arachnids are 8.
So scorpions and spiders and tarantulas are all arachnids.
I wonder
about
how
like
big the biggest ones of those ever were.
Yeah.
I have heard before. I mean, the largest arachnid on the planet today is the Goliath bird-eating spider, and they are like as big as those moths.
Really?
Yeah, like 30 centimeter diameter, and they live in the jungles of South America. So you could have walked past one in Peru for all you know. Joe.
Oh, I do not like the look of
And
that.
they are so big, right? They don't even make webs, right? They eat things like birds and rats. Imagine how terrifying it would be for you're like a little bird. Imagine that you're like walking across the ground canopy, eating some seeds or fruit that's fallen from a thing, and then suddenly this massive, horrible arachnid comes out and just like
spider room.
Yeah, they eat like rodents and birds.
That's
and
savage, isn't it?
Yeah, and they're like ambush predators. So apparently they sit in like burrows. They make burrows almost like badgers do, or like foxes do.
And then they're quite fast since
when something comes close enough, they just and they pull it in. Goliath bird-eating spider. But I mean, I know that there were some big ones in history. It'd be an interesting thing to look at, man. Have a look up for us,
biggest
young Bullwinkle. Largest ever spider or tarantula. Yeah, largest ever arachnid. Arachnid. It'd be interesting to know what the biggest ever.
I think it might just be the Goliath. That's the photo I'm seeing.
I don't think it is.
Like in the past.
I'm sure they found one, man. I'm sure. Yeah, largest ever.
Megarachne was a medium size. It had a body length of 54 centimeters.
That's bigger. That's
largest known spider to have ever
54.
lived. Megarachne.
Think 54 centimeters, over half a meter. So for people, if there's anybody out listening that doesn't do metrics, what's half a meter? That's like a couple of feet at least. What's that? No, it's about a couple of feet, isn't it? Say half a meter. Maybe not quite 2 feet.
50 centimeters. How many?
6 foot is over 6 foot. I'm just trying to think. I think 2 meters is about 6'4" or 6'5", something like that. So what? So then half a meter. What was that? Would just be a third of that, wouldn't it? No, sorry, it'd be a quarter of that.
Almost like 2 rulers. If you're ever in school.
Yeah, so it'd just be under. So about 1.75 feet long. Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But that's a big...
it's quite big, but I'm thinking...
Imagine if one was in the room, though, dude.
Yeah,
Imagine if one was in the room. Imagine seeing a spider that big.
wall in your bedroom. That's when it's different.
Even when we were talking about the Goliath bird-eating spider, it's mad enough to think that there'd be one with like the circumference of a dinner plate. Now imagine one almost like 50% bigger than that, just on the wall.
I've got a photo of one compared to a 1.8 meter tall person.
Really?
Look at that.
So that's the largest ever spider. What did you say it was called? Megarachne.
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 It looks almost like a tick or something. It looks weird.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a spider, does it? Really?
No.
So I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna have to get up and have a look at this.
Come have a look, man.
Because this sounds mental.
Come have a little look. It's almost like a sea creature, isn't it?
Yeah, like a weird...
Like an isopod or something.
Did it live on land?
Yeah.
Oh, that looks horrible. Look at that.
It looks a bit like
It's like
fat
a
and
bed bug.
hairy.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, like a massive bed bug or a massive flea or something.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about animals like that, but there's almost like something about them which is almost like a bit gross, but not because they're like unhygienic.
Just the way they look. They look like monsters.
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
it's almost
If they
like,
were bigger,
yeah.
and I think they're so anything that's like so far away from a human, it's almost a bit like, you know, like do you know what I mean? Or like like mammalian stuff. I find like it's even with reptiles and that. Like I like reptiles and that, but there's something that's a bit. It's a bit like I'm a bit more weirded out by reptiles and bugs and arachnids and stuff than I am with any mammals that you have of like, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's because there's more of we've got more of a relation. We are mammals, obviously. But
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit before on the pod before, haven't we? But like, you know, obviously there's a reason why I think people love things like cats and dogs as pets. It's like they're similar enough to us that we can almost like, we can communicate with them.
Yeah.
It might be very rudimentary, but you still can. You know, I can communicate with my cat.
Love thing, you know, when you got like loving thing, like stroking and stuff like that. Like you can stroke a dog or you can stroke a cat and you can see them enjoying it. Like that.
Yeah,
but
sharing love,
like an arachnid,
a spider.
Yeah, you know, or they wouldn't be able to show in the same way that they're enjoying it. You know,
I mean, the thing is about animals like that is we can sort of we do have like a fairly we can get an idea of their intelligence, but we don't really know what's going on in their noggin.
No,
but we do know that like you know, because a lot of the animals like that, I mean, don't even have brains the same way we do.
No,
that's not to say
different.
That's not to say they don't have something that's the equivalent of a brain, but it's not the same. And obviously, you know, things like emotion and attachment, relationship. There's certain parts of, you know, I'm not a neurologist, so I can't tell you in depth about exactly what. But there's certain parts of the brain that have to be have enough devoted space to it and things like that for you to have the ability to even have such like a deep connection. You know, so like, you know, and they're more pronounced in things like pack animals. So humans obviously are more, you know, we've always been in societies. Same with like dogs. That's one of the reasons why it's easier to train a dog than it is a cat, because dogs are pack animals. They come from wolves, and wolves are notoriously pack animals.
They're always looking to you for like guidance or something. It seems like with a dog.
Yeah, they understand pecking order and they understand relationship. They're used to working together. But then one of the things that's amazing is even with like cats. I mean, even though cats are solitary animals, most of them, obviously, lions are pride animals. They're pack animals, but they live in prides. But weirdly, lions are the only ones. But you know, most cats, obviously, domestic cats. They do come from originally from species that would have been solitary, but even with a cat, you can communicate with it. If I go like,
totally,
if I shake a cat sachet at Scraggles and go, Scrags, dinner time, he'll run over and he knows it's dinner time.
Yeah.
If I go, no, don't do that, he knows he's done something wrong. I can tell by the way he looks at me, you know. I remember I once shouted at him, pointed at the door and shouted at him because he brought in a massive rat. I live in the countryside, and he brought in a rat that was like the size of a chihuahua, but with like a 30-centimetre long tail. And it was like still alive. And mate, I was thinking, I do not want this thing getting loose in the house because it'd be so hard to catch. Oh man,
that's one to look up. Underground rat, largest underground rat, like from you know, London Underground. That's pretty.
Well, there's actually been one that's been like shot or killed or something.
Yeah, and it's huge, man. It's like a
horrible. Well, I was shocked, as I said, when he brought it in, and I so for people that listen on the radio or Spotify, Bullwinkle is literally in disbelief.
Look at the state of that.
Man, you got to see this.
Right, let's have a look.
You got to see this. This is like a I didn't know they get that big.
Oh man, look at that. That is.
It's like as big as just like a person.
That's like bigger than
Drew. That's bigger than you. That's huge.
That is bigger than a lot of cats.
Yeah,
that's bigger than a lot. Look at the tail on it. Look at the tail on it.
Man, that's horrifying.
That is scary. But yeah, I mean, the one that Scraggles brought in, my cat, was like half the size of that. So it was still massive. Yeah. As I said, I'm not exaggerating. In terms of the body, it was the size of like a chihuahua, but had like a 30-centimetre long tail. And I remember I shouted at Scrag because I was so angry at him. And I remember I was pointing at the door, and I never usually raise my voice at him because he's my bro, isn't he? But I remember I was pointing at my back door, and I opened my back door, and I just went, "Get it out now!" And I would literally like but like more angry and way louder. Yeah. And he literally like just went like, meow, and he literally like grabbed it and just ran out the back door. It was almost like he could tell.
Did he grab it?
He grabbed it.
That's cool then.
Because he'd let go of
didn't
it,
just leave
and
it.
I managed to sort of corner it because it went behind my clothes
it was
bin.
still alive.
Oh yeah, that's why I was so angry. If it was dead, I would have just been able to pick it up and take it out.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But it was alive, and I was thinking, if this thing gets free in my house, I do not want to spend the next 5 hours trying to catch this massive rat the size of a dog, small dog, and then if it bites me, I'm going to have to go to the hospital and get a shot.
Rabies.
Yeah, and that's not. When you're home for the night.
Don't want that on your Friday evening, man.
Yeah, we were talking earlier on. You're in your comfies. You've got it in your head that you're about. This was probably like 3 years ago. I might have been watching a brand new episode of The Last Kingdom or Vikings or something. Yeah. You got that in your head. The last thing you want to do is catch a giant mutant rat and then potentially go to hospital because you've been bitten by one, in the catching process. And also, they're so...
Mr. Shredder.
Exactly. So, like, but I managed... It went behind my clothes bin, like, for the, my washing bin, and I sort of managed to, like push it up against the wall with enough force that it couldn't move.
What, the rat?
Yeah, and I remember I was just like, what am I supposed to do now? Because in your head you're like thinking the options. I'm like, well, the moment I let go, it's gonna scuttle off so quick. So I'm like, what do I do? And I'm going through these different scenarios in my head. Like, well, I can't just stay here like this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what am I gonna do? So I remember I just sort of started shouting at Scraggles, and I sort of like eased it out one side so it would only be able to go out one side, and the side that was closest to the kitchen door. And then I was just like, Scraggles, get out now. And luckily, he went in behind it, grabbed it, and then ran out. And I shut the door, locked the cat flap so he couldn't bring it in. Most of the time now, I literally keep the cat flap shut. It was pointless me getting that cat flap installed because I don't even keep it open anymore. I keep it open one way so we can go out.
Yeah,
but he can't come in.
That's the way. That's the way.
Because
to do it.
I keep it that because obviously I keep him in at night, but then obviously it's like if he needs to go to the toilet or whatever, I want him to be able to go out on the night. But then it's just he just won't be able to come back in once I'm asleep until the morning. Because there's been too many times. Because he's a great hunter, and I respect it. I respect the fact that he is.
You just don't want it in your house.
Yeah, I mean, I've woken up before, and there's and he's had like chaffinches just flying around my bedroom at 4 a.m. And like the adrenaline that I felt by the time I've caught that thing and released it. I'm not going back to bed then for 2 hours, 3 hours, and by that point the sun's coming up. Do you know what I mean? It's almost, and then that affects you almost like for the whole next day, or maybe even like 2 or 3 days, because you've got that knock-on effect of like fatigue. So I just don't know, but yeah, luckily he did what I said, and he was playing with it on the patio for about 10 minutes, and I was just watching him through the kitchen, and he wasn't like deliberately wasn't killing it, he was just playing with it, and then at one point I saw the rat bite him, and then he went meow, when like a cat makes that noise, and then I saw in his whole body language and his eyes, he's got full on triggered. And then he just suddenly went, and he sunk his like teeth into the back of its neck, and then you just suddenly saw it just go like slowly limp, and then just let go, and it was just dead. And I was like, whoa, that rat just full on triggered Mr. Scraggles. But it's like one of those things, like, he's a great successful hunter, and I think one of the reasons why he just, he's a black cat. So in the nighttime, you're not going to see him coming. It's not like
unless there's some light. And you get the glint in the eyes. That's about the only time you
look. You know what I mean? It's literally a proven fact that cats that are white or like I can't remember the actual name. Like ginger cats, are like
turtle shell.
Yeah, are like less successful hunters because the animals are going to see them in the night easier. Whereas Scrags, it's like sometimes I won't even realise that he's at the back door, and then all of a sudden I'll just like see almost like some sort like two little saucers. And then once I've noticed he's there, then I can see the outline, but before that, it's like he's like a ninja. It's like I don't even realise he's there, man. But we've actually run out of time. I was going to talk about the largest ever bird, because we've talked about the largest ever insect. We talked about the largest modern insects, which were those 3 moths I talked about, and we've talked about Quetzalcoatlus, which was larger than a plane. But we haven't talked about the largest ever bird.
We'll have to save that for another week.
We'll save it for next week. We'll kick off the show next week.
That'll be a good one.
Talking about the largest ever bird that lived, and it was a giant. It was a giant. It was over twice the size of the largest modern flying bird, which is the albatross. So we'll talk about that next week. Yeah. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. We hope you've enjoyed all the content that we've brought to you today, and thanks again for Mark Studley for coming in. Wish you nothing but the best. Great to meet you, man.
Yeah, what an amazing book.
And
Go out.
And if anyone wants
check it out. Dirty.
a great cooking book and likes their slow roasted meats and their burgers and things like that.
Dirty food.
Go buy yourself
good food.
or your loved one a copy of Dirty by Mark Studley.
Yeah.
Hope everyone has a great week. I'm going to leave you with some tracks now just to play you out. See you later, everybody. Have a good one. See you next week.